Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaya Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudita Ashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistaki. So continuing with the discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 14, Brahma's Prayers to Lord Krishna, text 51 onwards. So Parikshit Maharaj asked yesterday that how come all these Brajvasis, they loved Krishna more than their own sons? So Shukdev Goswami is explaining that. Tad Rajendra yatha sneha swasvak atmani dehinam na tatha mamata lambe putra vitta grihadishu. For this reason, O best of kings, the embodied soul is self-centered. He is more attached to his own body and self than to his so-called possessions like children, wealth, and home. It is now common practice all over the world for a mother to kill her own child within the womb if the birth of that child represents any inconvenience for her. Similarly, grown children eagerly place their elderly parents in lonely institutions rather than be inconvenienced by their presence at home. These and innumerable other examples prove that people in general are more attached to their own body and self, which represents I-ness, than to their family and other possessions, which represents my-ness. So I and mine, but I is more important always. All the conditioned souls are very proud of their so-called love for society, family, and so forth. In reality, every conditioned soul is acting on the platform of gross or subtle selfishness. So that is why self is more important, and because that self is connected with Krishna, it's part and parcel of Krishna. That's why Krishna becomes center for Brajvasis. Dehatma vadinam punsam api rajanya sattama etha deha priyatamas tatha nahi anuyecha tama. Indeed, for persons who think the body is the self, or best of kings, those things, those importance lies only in their relationship to the body, are never as dear as the body itself. Deho api mamata bhakchet tarhi aso natmavat priyaha yajiryati api dehe asmin jivitasha baliyasi. If a person comes to the stage of considering the body mine instead of me, he will certainly not consider the body as dear as his own self. After all, even as the body is growing old and useless, one's desire to continue living remains strong, very strong actually. The word mamata bhak is very significant. An ordinary foolish person thinks, I am this body. A more discriminating, intelligent person thinks, this is my body. See the difference? In the literature and folklore of ordinary people, we find the common theme of an old, decrepit person dreaming of obtaining a new, young body. Thus, even ordinary persons pick up the notion of self-realization, instinctively understanding that it is possible for soul to exist in many different bodies. So ultimately, our thought process is, let me get a new body if the old person is always thinking that, so that I can enjoy more. But at least he is at the level of understanding, I'm not this body, this is my body. As the body of an intelligent person becomes old and useless, he strongly desires to live, even when he knows that his body cannot live much longer. This indicates he's gradually becoming aware that his self is more important than his body. Thus, simply the desire for life can indirectly bring one to a preliminary understanding of self-realization. As in this case as well, one's basic attachment is to one's own self and not to that which supposedly belongs to oneself. Yeah, but still, it's difficult to get out of this bodily concept of life. Even when we are old, we are desiring a new body, but as soon as we get a new body, we start thinking, I have this body. It's so hard to get out of this. It may be pointed out that the entire discussion between King Parikshit and Shukdev Goswami regarding the dearness of one's own self is ultimately meant for broaching the subject of why the cows and cowherd ladies of Vrindavan considered Krishna more dear than their own selves, and certainly more dear than their own offspring. The discussion proceeds as follows. Tasmat priyatama swatma sarveshamapi dehnam tadartham eva sakalam jagatet tacharacharam. Therefore, it's his own self that is most dear to every embodied living being. And it is simply for the satisfaction of this self that the whole material creation of moving and non-moving entities exists. So it is his own self that is most dear to every embodied living being. That is true. The word chara-charam indicates moving living entities such as animals and non-moving living entities such as trees. Or the word may also refer to moving possessions such as one's family and pets, and non-moving possessions such as one's house and household paraphernalia. So this is because for the satisfaction of oneself, this whole material creation exists. Otherwise, if we are not attached, what's the use? Why we would be working so hard to earn so much of money? And if everybody becomes spiritual and they're more interested in serving the Lord, and then the material world does not exist, then it all becomes spiritual. But that's not what happens, or what is going to happen. That's why sometimes when people ask this question to Prabhupada, that, oh, what will happen if everybody becomes a devotee? Well, first of all, it's not going to happen. That's for sure. That's why material world is there. Maya is there. It's not going to happen that everyone in the material world becomes a devotee. And even if they all become devotees, that doesn't mean the activities will stop. It's not that people will stop becoming doctors or engineers. If they are devotees, great. So great. Devotee doctors and devotee engineers and devotee businessmen. That's better. But it's just not going to happen. Krishnam enam evehi tvam atmanam akhilatmanam jagaditaya swapyatra dehi vabhati mayaya. You should know Krishna to be the original soul of all living entities for the benefit of the whole universe. He has, out of his causeless mercy, appeared as an ordinary human being. He has done this by the strength of his internal potency. So he is the original soul. He is the original self. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela, Prabhupada comments on this verse as follows. Parikshit Maharaja Shukdev Goswami, why Krishna was so beloved by the residents of Vrindavan, who loved him even more than their own offspring or life itself. At that time, Shukdev Goswami replied that everyone's Atma or soul is very, very dear, especially to all living entities who have accepted material bodies. However, that Atma, the spirit soul, is part and parcel of Krishna. For this reason, Krishna is very dear to every living entity. Everyone's body is very dear to oneself. And one wants to protect the body by all means, because within the body, the soul is living. Due to the intimate relationship between the soul and the body is important and dear to everyone. Similarly, soul being part and parcel of Krishna, the Supreme Lord, is very, very dear to all living entities. But what happens, actually it is very dear, but what happens, unfortunately, the soul forgets his constitutional position and thinks he is only the body, the Atma Buddhi. Thus, the soul is subjected to the rules and regulations of material nature. When a living entity, by his intelligence, reawakens his attraction for Krishna, he can understand that he is not the body, but part and parcel of Krishna. Thus, filled with knowledge, he no longer labors under attachment to the body and everything related to the body. Material existence wherein one thinks, I'm the body and this belongs to me, is also illusory. One must redirect his attraction to Krishna. And then this material world becomes um, like a spiritual world, and it becomes liberating. It's not bonding anymore. Vasudeva Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayasya. By rendering devotional service unto the personality of Godhead Shri Krishna, one immediately acquires causeless knowledge and detachment from the world. So this is how we make progress. Vasuto janata matra Krishnam sthanasu charishnu cha Bhagvat rupam akhilam nanyat vastivaha kinchana. Those in this world who understand Lord Krishna as he is, see all things, whether stationary or moving, as manifest forms of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such enlightened persons recognize no reality apart from the Supreme Lord Krishna. So there is actually only one reality, but it depends upon our consciousness, how we see it. Everything exists within Lord Krishna. And Lord Krishna exists within everything. Still, the order of progression is always from the energetic to the expanded energy. Lord Krishna is the original identity from whom all other identities emanate. He is the supreme energetic from whom all categories and dimensions of energy become manifest. Thus, our personal bodies, self, family, friends, nation, planet, universe, and so on, are all manifestations of the Supreme Lord, who expand himself through his personal potencies. Lord Krishna is certainly the supreme object of our love and attraction, and other objects such as body, family, and home should be secondary objects of our affection. Moreover, a close analytic study of the actual situation will reveal that even the secondary objects of love are also manifestations of Lord Krishna. Conclusion is that Lord Krishna is our only friend and object of love, because everything is ultimately energy of Krishna, but we have to see it in that way. Not that, oh, I love my wife and my girlfriend and my kids, for argument's sake, oh, they all energy of Krishna, but if I'm using them or exploiting them for my purpose, my enjoyment, then I'm not really thinking properly. In his Krishna book, Srila Prabhupada comments on this verse as follows: without being an expansion of Krishna, nothing can be attractive. Whatever is attractive within the cosmic manifestation is due to Krishna. Krishna is therefore the reservoir of all pleasure. The active principle of everything is Krishna, and highly elevated transcendentalists see everything in connection with him. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is stated that a Mahabhagavata, a highly advanced devotee, sees Krishna as the active principle in all movable and immovable living entities. Therefore, he sees everything within this cosmic manifestation in relation to Krishna. And as Prabhupada says, Mahabhagavata, a highly advanced devotee, he sees Krishna everywhere, everything, moving non Avar Jangam Dekhe, Dekhe Tara Murti. So he doesn't see anything separate from Krishna. So what's the meaning of that? Then he doesn't see anything for his own enjoyment or for exploitation. If I'm so advanced that I see only Krishna everywhere and the cause of everything happening, then I'll not use it for myself, for my own gratification, for my own enjoyment. I'll be aware of, or I'll be conscious of that. And that is what Krishna consciousness is all about. To come to that level. Like when Hiranyakashipu asked Prahlad Maharaj, is your God everywhere? Yes, he's everywhere. Is he in this pillar? Yes, he's in this pillar. For us, it is, yeah, that's very nice. But do we see Krishna everywhere? Do we see Krishna in our phone? And on the screen, if we have the backdrop, the screensaver as Krishna's photo, we'll see Krishna. But are we conscious of that? And Krishna's name, Krishna's form, Krishna's photo, non-different from him. That is even higher understanding. So that is what Krishna consciousness is all about. सर्वेषामपि वस्तूनां भावार्थो भवति स्थिता तस्यापि भगवान् कृष्ण किं तद् वस्तु रूप्यताम्. The original unmanifested form of material nature is the source of all material things, and the source of even that subtle material nature is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. What then could one ascertain to be separate from him? So there is nothing separate from him. Samashita ye pad pallava pallavam mahat padam une yasho murare bhavam buddhirvat padam 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 yet vipadam natesha. For those who have accepted the boat of the lotus feet of the Lord, who is a shelter of the cosmic manifestation and is famous as Murari, the enemy of the Mura demon, the ocean of the material world is like the water contained in a calf's hoofprint. The goal is Param Padam, Vaikuntha, the place where there are no material miseries, not the place where there is danger at every step. Padam, Padam, Yadvipadam. According to Srila Sridhar Swami, this verse summarizes the knowledge presented in this section of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Lord Krishna's lotus feet are described as pallava, or flower buds, because they are most tender and of a pinkish hue. According to Srila Sanatana Goswami, the word pallava also indicates that Lord Krishna's lotus feet are just like desire trees, which can fulfill all the desires of the Lord's pure devotees. Even exalted devotees like Sri Narad, who are themselves a great shelter for the conditioned souls in this universe, personally take shelter of the lotus feet of Lord Shri Krishna. Thus, it is natural that when Lord Krishna manifested himself as all the young boys and calves of Vrindavan, their parents were more attracted to them than previously. Lord Krishna is the source of all pleasure, and being all attractive, the ultimate object of everyone's love. And one who has taken shelter of his lotus feet, the material world, ocean of the Bhavam Budhir, it becomes how big? Like the water contained in a calf's hoofprint, not even cow's hoofprint, calf's hoofprint. Means it becomes so small, one can easily cross over. Because one has taken shelter of Krishna's lotus feet. Etatte sarvam akyatam yat prishto aham ihtvaya tat kaumare harikritam paugande parikirtitam. Since you inquired from me, I have fully described to you those activities of Lord Hari that were performed in his 5th year, but not celebrated until the 6th. Etat suhrit bhishcharitam murarer aghardanam shadvala jemanam cha vyakte tarad rupam ajorva bhishtam shanvan grananeti naru akhilartham. Any person who hears or chants these pastimes Lord Murari performed with his cowherd friends, the killing of Aghasur, the taking of lunch on the forest grass, the Lord's manifestation of transcendental forms, and the wonderful prayers offered by Lord Brahma. So by Prabhupada's mercy, we have done all this. So what will happen is sure to achieve all his spiritual desires. According to Srila Sanatana Goswami, even one who is only inclined to hear and chant the pastimes of Lord Krishna will achieve spiritual perfection. Many devotees seriously engaged in propagating Krishna consciousness are often so busy that they cannot chant and hear the pastimes of the Lord to the full satisfaction. However, simply by their intense desire to always chant and hear about Lord Krishna, they will achieve spiritual perfection. course, as far as possible, one should actually vibrate these transcendental pastimes of the Lord. So, great thing with new technology, there are the Krishna book, even Srimad Bhagavatam, these are all available as audiobooks as well. Devotees have recorded everything in these books as audio. So we can just hear them anywhere, anytime. But this is what we should be hearing of. Evam vihare komaram jatur braje nilayana setu bandhara markatot palavanadibhi. In this way, the boys spent their childhood in the land of Vrindavan, playing hide and go seek, building clay bridges, jumping about like monkeys, and engaging in many other such games. And this is what boys do, and especially 5-6-year-old boys, there's nothing else they're going to do. And obviously, no schooling in Vrindavan, no schools here, just enjoy. According to Srila Sanatana Goswami, the word nilayane refers to games such as hide and go seek or cops and robbers. Sometimes the boys would jump around like the monkeys in Lord Ramchandra's army and then enact the building of the bridge to Lanka by constructing clay bridges in lakes or ponds. Sometimes the boys would imitate the pastime of churning the ocean of milk, and sometimes they would play catch with the balls. We can find full pleasure in the spiritual world with a simple condition that everything be performed in pure love of Godhead, Krishna consciousness. So that's the only condition. And every game that is being played here, in the history, currently, or in the future, origin of everything is in the spiritual world. So Krishna and his friend, they've all played those games, so they keep on playing those games. See, nothing can exist here if it is not up there. Nothing. So they whole day, they would play these games and enjoy it, having lunch with Krishna and Balaram. Krishna and Balaram would kill demons every day, 2-3 demons every day they would kill. And in the evening, they would just come home happy, talking about Krishna's pastimes to their parents at night. And then early morning, they're up again. Even before Krishna is up, they are up there at Yashoda Maya. Maya, send Lala, send Krishna out. We have to go to the forest. Every day. We can only imagine. Actually, we can't even imagine the kind of fun they all must be having. So this is why Krishna performs these pastimes to attract us to his pastimes, so that we can become benefited. So thus ends the purpose of the humble. See here, they changed the wording, because thus ends the purpose of the humble servants of his divine grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, to the 10th canto, 14th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Brahma's Prayers to Lord Krishna. So we stop here, and tomorrow we'll start the new chapter. See, anybody has any questions or comments?
We wish, Prabhuji, that we had lives of Krishna and Balaram the way they lived. Today's life has become very, very taxing on our brains.
Well, that's why he performs his pastimes. So we desire to go back home, back to the spiritual world and enjoy. Why we have to be here? We don't need to be here.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, when is the Holi in Barsana? Any idea?
11th and 12th. I think 11th is Ladumar and 12th is Lattamar. But I have to double check that.
Yeah, Prabhuji, if you come to know, can you check, Prabhuji, with someone?
Yeah, sure. Somebody posted the other day. Latmar Holi. But Sana Latmar is on March 11th.
Yes. Thank you, Prabhuji.
So Laddumar will be on 10th then.
Today is Laddumar, tomorrow is.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, here it is 9th still. So,
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
so go enjoy. I cannot enjoy.
There has to be someone along the way. Yeah. Let's see. Thank you.
Thank you, Pradeep.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mata. Chalo, you all have a safe and wonderful day. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Ram.
Hare Krishna.
Jai
Hare